There's 5 that are
There's
OGMTs.
5 OGMTs. Yeah.
Original Montana.
It's
so
me,
you have
Dana Carvey,
Colin Malloy, Dana Carvey. You're counting yourself as one
yeah,
of 5.
of course. I'm a huge star, Jay.
And then who else is left?
There's 2 other guys. I don't know what their names are.
A grizzly bear in Glacier Park. That's number 5.
That's number 5. And Bison number 21. That's all there is.
There we go.
Only 10 people that live in
We've
Montana.
covered the stars of Montana. Welcome to Between the Streams. This is our weekly entertainment podcast here at Digital Trends. Thank you so much for tuning in. In addition to being a podcast, we're, of course, broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. And we have, as always, a lot of things to talk about today. So we want to catch you up on everything that's going on in movies and entertainment. And today we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of stuff from DC.
Yeah, DC is really going for it.
They're going for it. Whether it's good or not, I don't know. But
it's never good. But
we'll debate
they
that.
Are going for it.
Yeah, a bunch of new movies that we weren't even aware that are getting made, that are in the works. Supposedly, we've got some Predator news. We've got House of Cards news, some Netflix movies, and of course the weekend box office. Which brings us to what the question is that we had here at the top of the show, because the big movie this weekend is Incredibles 2. And I know a lot of people have been looking forward to this. It seems like
for about 10 years.
Yeah, I was going to say for a long time.
Yeah, I think people thought immediately that this would be the easiest and most ready sequel that they would do.
That could ever happen.
It leaves on a cliffhanger on the first one, like that seems to be setting up a sequel, and then for some reason, nothing happened for a decade, and now here it is.
And now there it is.
Getting good reviews, so it's exciting.
Well, that is our question, and I'll be honest about it. Pixar stuff to you here in just a second. But so we're going to talk about what's your favorite Pixar movie ever, and we'll give you a list of kind of some to think about if you're not sure. I'm Greg Nibbler.
I'm Ryan Juanita.
And with that question, so we want to see your comments and questions. So like I said, we'll see those as we go through. But for Pixar movies, to familiarize yourself with them, and again, I've said it before, I'm not a big animated movie.
Yeah, it's one of the stupidest things about you.
I know Ryan hates that. Ryan is on the opposite end of that.
I mean, my wife worked in animation for
I know.
many years.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense.
I'm a fan.
You are a fan. I mean, to recap, like Pixar, they did the Toy Story series, A Bug's Life, Finding Nemo, Cars,
Toy Story made 'em.
Ratatouille, WALL-E.
WALL-E is a big one. Incredibles, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coco.
Up is one.
Up.
And then there's the Disney animation movies, so they have their stuff too, which that came in a little later, but it was sort of run by the same guy. They're sort of sister studios. But yeah, those are all the Pixar ones.
Well, as the animated
Pixar started the game.
As the animated movie superfan here on the show, what is your favorite Pixar movie of all time?
I've been really thinking about this.
I know this is hard for you.
The Incredibles is a really good choice. But I have to say, because of just like nostalgia and sort of the place I was at the time, I had just moved to Nashville and Toy Story 3 came out.
Okay.
And I went to see it by myself and I cried in the theater. And almost everybody who went to that movie cried. It's like it's a super tearjerker. Like it's supposed to make you cry.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was like
a
super
big
emotional.
death scene,
and I'm kind of a wussy anyway.
All right.
But yeah, that one hit home really hard because I was like away from everyone. I knew 0 people in the town, and that was sort of like a friend that like showed up. And
that's awesome.
When you move to a new place, one really easy thing I think to do, if you don't know anybody, nobody wants to hang out with you, is go to movies, because you can go do that. You can
do that by yourself.
You can go by yourself and go to a movie. So yeah, I'll say Toy Story 3, but there's so many good ones.
That's really cool. All right, so you have a very personal, touching story.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who saw Toy Story 3 felt that way, though. I mean, it's just it's probably the most dimensional and depth of emotion of any of the Pixars, I would say.
All right.
Coco is a pretty big one for that as well.
Coco is one I want to see as well.
Up is a big one for that as well.
Up is definitely, there's some emotional stuff in Up,
But yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Well, The Incredibles, I really like the original Incredibles.
So good.
And Incredibles 2 coming out now. I will say, everybody's been looking forward to this for a long time, but also it feels like with their promotion, I feel like it already came out.
And then it sort of, we were talking about this last night, it sort of fell off the map right before. Like, we're like, wait, does Incredibles 2 come out this weekend? I can't remember.
Right.
So it feels like they kind of just, and Disney seems to sometimes just not care. They're like, you're going to come to our movie. We know you are.
Yeah, so
you
we
have
don't need
a kid,
to promote it.
You're going to come to the movie. But I'm really excited it came out. I didn't get a chance to see it before the podcast, but it's getting great reviews. I heard one writer say this stands with any live-action superhero movie out there.
That's a big statement.
And they were talking about the action scenes specifically. For those who have seen Incredibles, you know the original action scenes are amazing. The kid, the speedy kid, can run across the water, and there's a scene with him being chased by, flying ships that are shooting lasers at him through a jungle. Like, there's so many cool scenes. There's a plane that explodes, and they have to like save the kids as the stretch girl. Elastigirl has to save the kids. But yeah, there's just so many cool action scenes, and I guess that happens as you'd expect again in the sequel. So.
That's fantastic. All right, well, so Incredibles 2 coming out. Just looking at a couple of the comments that came through. Berlin says WALL-E. Favorite movie, and Alan says The Incredibles, but most of them are excellent. Toy Story 1 and 2, Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, Inside Out, WALL-E. So yeah, I mean, they've made a lot of really good movies.
Yeah, I mean, Finding Nemo is another easy choice, and that's another deeply emotional one. So,
well, we're going to circle back around and talk about Pixar movies as well. So keep dropping in, what your favorite ones are. We do have a lot of stuff to get to, including some Game of Thrones news. I didn't even mention that at the top. Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings news.
Yeah, which came out right after we went off.
Yeah, last week.
But
I think there's a lot of stuff that's still being spread around about that. And before we do that, though, one other movie at the box office, just to bring up, in case you're going to the weekend box office or you're going to go see a movie and you want to see one that's new, Superfly.
This is a weird one.
Now, you may think, oh, wait, Superfly, that came out in the 70s. No, it's the new version of Superfly.
It's the reboot.
The reboot from Director X.
Yes,
and
Director X.
Director X.
Which sounds definitely like a hip-hop name.
Yeah, Director
or
X.
Or a DJ name.
Yeah, it could. Well, Terminator X. I think that's what I go to when I hear it. But so Director X and, Superfly rebooted. Obviously, for the modern times, the Mexican cartel's involved in it. You can tell from the trailer, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, when it first came on for the trailer, I didn't recognize it. It's very rebooted, but they do have all the old characters, and they have some good choices for the characters. For those who haven't seen Superfly, it's a pretty famous 70s blaxploitation movie. It's kind of the one that set the mold. It's very, as all of them were, cheaply done, but it's, I don't know, holds a special place in my heart. We watched it as kids. It was kind of like a Goodfellas for us, or a Godfather for us. It's a very, very mob-like type of movie, and it's fun, and it's about the drug trade. So they're redoing it, for the modern era. And Trevor Jackson plays Youngblood. Jason Mitchell plays his partner Eddie, and then Michael Kenneth Williams, who a lot of people recognize that actor. He's probably the most well-known.
He's great.
He plays Scatter,
Omar.
who's a major. Yeah, exactly.
He's Omar.
So he plays Scatter, who's like a major player as well. The guy that kind of brought up the main character. So I don't know how good this is going to be. It's not getting the most amazing reviews, but then again, the first movie was not perfect.
Right.
We've recommended it on one of our Between the Cracks, but it's just a fun mob movie.
Exactly.
So I think that this has a lot of room to be fun.
Yeah.
I'll definitely watch it.
This is a Netflix movie for me, but I will watch it.
I'm not going to go to the theater.
Yeah, but there we go. So Superfly out again. And before we get back to, we have a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to talk about with the DC universe again, too, that we want to get to. Circling back around a little bit on the Pixar films that we talked about at the beginning. Justin says Up. Jane says Toy Story. So, yeah, there's
kind of everyone has their favorite, and there's really not a bad one in there. You know, they're all pretty great.
Yeah, so we'll
maybe some of those extra Cars movies.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Cars movies. Oh, yeah, I saw Cars as well. Honestly, I think I've seen like 4 Pixar movies, but
yeah, it's fine.
I said I'm not a big animated movie person, so Ryan hates me for it. All right, so so let's get to, before we start talking about DC Cinematic Universe and a bunch of new movies that are going to be coming out from them, or at least allegedly. We did get the Game of Thrones news, and as we know, the final season wraps up next year for Game of Thrones, the original series. And
on that note, I was watching the new Kimmy Schmidt.
Yeah,
and she works at a tech company, and there's all these nerds, and she scares them because she tries to hug them and stuff. It's really funny. But they show this one scene of these 2 super tech coder dudes talking about Game of Thrones, and you just hear it in the background. If Bran's the Night King, I'm out. I'm over it.
I agree.
So we've been waiting a long time for the new series, but now there's this prequel thing.
Yeah. So final season of regular one is next year, and then sometime after that we will get the first of what could be many prequel series to Game of Thrones. And we do have, finally, a pilot has been ordered. Yeah. So there were 4 to 5 different series that I guess were pitched.
Yeah, it was
as
like
prequel series.
It was like a contest or something.
Yeah, a competition within HBO.
Yeah.
And the winner was Jane Goldman, a screenwriter for Kingsman: The Secret Service. And her series is basically going to be about the Age of Heroes, the final days of the Age of Heroes in Game of Thrones land. And to explain that, it's essentially thousands of years before what we're currently watching in Game of Thrones. And so no characters will cross over in this.
I think that's an easy choice, though, because there's so much interesting backstory that we keep touching on little tiny rumors of, and they're so effective to the time now.
Yeah.
Because the time that we're watching in the episodes we've seen are in the books and everything are deeply held, or tied to the past.
Yeah, and I think it sounds like we'll get, Bran the Builder, the Children of the Forest, and all of those
as you'd
kinds
expect.
Of characters.
And I think that's an easy route to go. And she's got some good stuff. X-Men First Class.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Kick-ass.
I think we can expect this to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, so it should be pretty fascinating. So that's ordered. So who knows when we will see it? And obviously it's just a pilot. They'll have to approve it, but I'm sure it'll get approved. I highly doubt it wouldn't get approved. Unless it's really terrible. I'm going to guess it's going to get approved.
I also have to say, as with anything, but especially these kinds of series, casting is going to be so key on this.
Absolutely.
I think the casting for the original series was just so good. And HBO's generally pretty good at casting, but man, it's going to be tough, and they're going to have to really get some good actors for this. And usually it's going to be people we don't know, so it should be interesting.
Yeah. I'll take a look at the comments. Jay on YouTube, I hear you. We'll see if we can get on that. And yeah, so everybody keep your comments and questions coming through here. That would be great. Lord of the Rings also getting their own prequel.
Yes.
And it is, we knew that was going to be happening. So it's Amazon that bought that. And just because if Jeff Bezos is a fan of something, he's just going to buy it. And that's kind of what's going on.
Yep.
And we now know that the first season will hit Prime by 2021. So by 2021. So yeah,
that's
it's still
something to look forward to.
3 years. They said they may push it up to 2020. But the thing is, I think the way they're going to be doing this is it's a big budget type of situation.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this. I think they spent $250 million just on the rights.
Yeah.
Let alone actual production costs and marketing costs.
Yeah.
This is going to be one of the most expensive ventures we've ever seen in television.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So hopefully it's good.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, supposedly it's going to be taking place as far as a young Aragorn, which I'm not that stoked about that concept. Are you excited about it?
Well, I always love the story of Aragorn coming up. He was one of the Rangers, and there's a lot of badass shit they were doing. A lot of people don't know maybe that much about those if they haven't read the books, but the Rangers were essentially protecting the hobbits for years and years, and that's why the hobbits were able to just kick back and
relax,
and
drink it up and read the books.
That's
lazy
because
hobbits.
the Rangers were keeping the West safe. So there's a lot of interesting stuff happening.
That's true. It probably will be really, really good.
As long as you can buy the guy as Aragorn.
Right, whoever they cast.
Right.
Yeah. Well, supposedly it's 5 seasons already that they've pretty much committed to. So
when you pay $250 million for the rights, you better take advantage.
And they say it's likely at least $1 billion commitment to the budget, which I could see that even going over that if they keep on doing.
Yeah. So that for math whizzes out there, that works out to $200 million a season.
Per season. That's crazy.
And you figure that's got to be 10 episodes, so $20 million per episode.
Yeah. Wow.
That used to be a movie.
Yeah.
So,
seriously. Yeah. That is insane.
And that's way more than they ever spent on Game of Thrones, by the way.
Well, so that's Lord of the Rings. We will be getting that here at some point. And going back to our question here at the top, Roger says Up is his favorite Pixar movie. And yeah, I think we're getting a lot of Ups. A lot of there's just some really, really good ones out there from Pixar. So they're amazing movies. Yeah, and we'll circle back around and talk more about that as well. But let's get into this DC stuff.
Yeah.
So the DC Cinematic Universe obviously has not been the most successful.
No.
Outside of Wonder Woman, which we will talk about Wonder Woman here in a second.
And as they say, they have their super fans. I mean, some people absolutely love everything that's come out of this, but generally critically and audiences have not enjoyed. We've had our
Right.
We've had our fun with that.
It's true. Yeah. And
I still think, besides Wonder Woman, that Man of Steel is their best movie, and I wasn't a big fan of that one.
Well, I am excited. I've been excited to see this character on the screen for a long time, and that's Aquaman, which is December 21st of this year is when it's going to hit the theaters.
Yeah,
and we're finally we don't have a trailer, like a full trailer yet. We've seen some teaser footage, but we do have at least a little more images as far as what images from the set, and there's some interesting ones showing Aquaman and the different villains that he's going to face. So that part I thought was kind of cool. Black Mantis. Oh yeah, there he is right there. That's not Black Mantis. That is. Sorry, I'm trying to remember his name. Of course, I didn't have it in front of me. But
Elrond.
Yeah, Elrond. Sure, we'll go with that. No, it's Patrick Wilson, but I'm trying to remember who he plays. It is Orm. There it is, Orm. I thought I was saying that wrong. I thought I wrote it down wrong. No, it is Orm. All right. Anyway, taking a look at that, he's going to be the film's primary antagonist, and then there's also Black Mantis, who is another character that's going to be in there. And we got an image of Black Mantis kind of looking at his mask, which does look pretty remarkably similar to the comics. So we've got that, and then we also have a picture of Amber Heard playing in there as well. So in her costume, I think it's going to be a pretty interesting movie. And this was Entertainment Weekly has a whole bunch of exclusive images that came out for it. And I don't know, are you excited about it or not?
No.
Okay, that's a big no.
I think it's not going to be good. I'm afraid.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I just didn't buy Jason Momoa in this role.
You don't buy Jason Momoa as Aquaman?
I like him. I just didn't really. Yeah. His bro-y attitude in Justice League was just odd to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah.
It'll probably be okay.
Right. But not a big.
I don't think it's going to be
not
great.
so much. Okay.
I don't know, man. The problem for me for all of DC stems with the organization. It's kind of like a sports team.
Right.
Cleveland, should have a good team. They have the Browns, and they always try. But there's something wrong with the inner working of the entire organization that just makes them suck every year.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with DC. They just can't see.
You just
get
called
it right.
DC the Cleveland Browns of
comic books. Yes.
Wow.
That's exactly what's happening, and it's too bad because it's arguable that they have just as good or better characters as Marvel, but they just can't seem to get it together.
Yeah.
And that's too bad. Maybe they will. I could always be wrong.
Yeah. Well, the one exception has been Wonder Woman.
Here you go.
Which was a good movie, and we did get some more actually photos of this from Wonder Woman. The next one is going to be called Wonder Woman 1984.
Yes.
And it's coming out November 1st of 2019. So we got a ways to go for that one.
Yeah, and Patty Jenkins proved that, a good director can take it somewhere better. For all that Zack Snyder is good at design, he just I don't think is a wonderful director. So that could be a big part of it.
Right.
But yeah, the interesting thing we got was the new title, and it's really interesting to me.
So it's taking place in the 80s. And one thing that I thought was also interesting is that some of the images from the set, the photos, show Chris Pine's character, which if you watch the movie, it took place, during World War I?
I think what we are getting here is this isn't Chris Pine's original character. It's a relative, which is always a super cheesy thing they do, like in old movies.
Is that what you think it is?
I think
it's going to be
like,
it's the great-great-grandson.
Yes.
And he looks
exactly
remarkably like him.
Yeah, it does happen. Let's be honest. It does happen in real life. Like, some people do look almost exactly like their grandparents, but it doesn't happen very often.
If that's what that is, that is
sure
very cheesy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, the 1984 thing too, it brings up the book. I don't know if that's what they're going for, but
good question. I'm not sure.
84 is kind of interesting.
very specific.
Yeah, like if they're going for some kind of dystopian.
Why not 1985?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's just random, but
yeah, there's another image of Wonder Woman taking a look at a bunch of television screens that all show different kind of iconic 80s images. Is that Dallas? Is one of the images on there? I think
one of them is Vacation.
Oh yeah,
Christy Brinkley in the Ferrari. Yeah, that's definitely Dallas.
Right.
It looks like there's a Pepsi or Coke commercial.
Yeah, a bunch of 80s images. So this I'm already excited about. I will definitely go see this.
I'm definitely into this as well.
So those are the two big ones that we know of. Now, we also got word that there is going to be a Joker standalone movie. And this was when we've been hearing about this idea of a Joker origin film that Martin Scorsese was going to be involved in.
Right.
And both of those things are happening. Martin Scorsese is not going to direct. He's going to executive produce a Joker origin film that sounds like it's going to be a standalone Joker film, not associated with the rest of the DC universe.
Right.
starring Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker.
Yeah, it's not part of the DC extended.
No.
And that
it's just some standalone Joker movie.
And that's the interesting thing that Warner Brothers is still doing with all the success that Marvel's had with making sure everything is
all tied together
and tied together. They're kind of going the Fox way, where it's like, well, what if we just experiment?
Yeah.
Where Fox did Logan and Patrick Stewart's there, but he's not really the same character as he is in some of the other canon movies that lead up to things. And you're just kind of like, okay, I'll just watch it.
Yeah, all right.
And that's, a lot of people had problems with Days of Future Past for some of that stuff. So it is interesting. But as we were talking about before we went on, I had not seen Her, and I just saw it this week, and I was reminded how phenomenal Joaquin Phoenix is as an actor.
He's a good actor.
He hasn't been anything great for a while, I don't think. But he's been in some cool stuff. But this should be interesting.
He's going to be coming out in the I'm blanking on the name of the new movie that we were just talking about last week. So he's got some stuff.
Yeah, he was in a Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
Sister Brothers.
Blanking on the name of that got a lot of good reviews for his performance. So
right.
I don't really see him as the Joker, though.
I think he can pull it off.
I think he can because he's great.
Yeah, I think he could pull it off as a sinister.
And it's also interesting to have Todd Phillips directing.
Yeah, Todd Phillips, is the director.
Mostly,
which is The
comedies.
Hangover. Yeah, and we'll see. It'll probably be good, but I just don't like this whole idea of you're creating this universe, tie it in. But they're talking about these films as maybe being called DC Dark or DC Black to separate from the DC cinematic universe. I think they're getting too complicated for themselves.
Can we go back to my Cleveland metaphor?
Yeah, I think you're kind of right on that, because that's not the only Joker movie that's supposedly in the works.
Right.
We did get some lists of some other movies, and it sounds like Jared Leto's version of the Joker will also be getting a movie. We'll get another Batman movie, a standalone Batman movie, but it sounds like Ben Affleck is out as Batman. And it's going to be a younger Batman, so does that tie in, or is that a standalone?
I can't tell if we've gotten specific word on that, or if it's just rumors. But it seems like when Matt Reeves took over for Ben Affleck as director/writer, that was not going to go well.
Well, the script that he submitted as a young Batman.
Yeah, I guess that tells you.
He can't really have.
Plus, they're going to CG.
Yeah, young Ben Affleck. Mallrats Ben Affleck shows up.
That'd be fun. In an uncomfortable place.
As
say.
Yes.
You mean like the back of a Volkswagen?
All right, I'd watch that movie.
All right, okay.
And then also there's going to be a movie called Birds of Prey with Margot Robbie returning as Harley Quinn. And there's also the Batgirl film, which still could possibly happen at some point. So DC's all over the place. We'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes.
To me, the most interesting is definitely the Joaquin Phoenix one. And I don't know if I mean that as a good or bad thing, but I'm definitely want to see it.
Yeah. So that's where we're at on that. So that one allegedly will start production, I think this fall is when it's going to go into production. So we may see that sooner than later. I mean, next year, maybe later next year, possibly. Something else we will see this year, September 14th, is the return of The Predator. And we got another trailer. Now, we did know that in this new, version of The Predator, supposedly there's going to be genetically modified predators who took DNA from the places that they conquered and other species so they could splice themselves together. And we got to see a little picture of that.
That works for me. I don't care.
I know. You're in.
Yeah, I just want to see it.
And with the new trailer kind of shows at the end of it, we get to see a different kind of predator that shows up into the world. And it's kind of like a giant predator. Like a giant predator that grabs another predator.
That's kind of weird.
And throws the other predator. And
that is kind of sweet, though.
Yeah.
I like the action.
So it's a big predator fighting a little predator. And then I think the humans are confused. Like, what's going on here? That predator's so tall. That's where we're at. That's where we're at with it.
I'm into it.
I know. I don't
know. I mean, I even liked AVP. So, I mean, it's terrible. Well, it's terrible, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty bad.
There's not anything they could do, though, to make this bad enough that you wouldn't see it.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably
and that's
not.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There we're at.
The team they got together, some of the original people, I don't know. I'm into it.
You're in.
Yeah.
Well, so Predator 2, or not Predator 2, sorry. The second trailer
The
for
Predator.
The Predator.
Yes.
It comes out on September 14th. You can check that out. A couple other things. We had some Netflix news that I did want to get to. For those of you that are House of Cards fans, and I was, obviously it's going to be kind of strange, but they are still going ahead with season 6, and we did get a trailer for it. And, this may be a little spoilery kind of, although not really. If you've been watching House of Cards, you've had quite a lot of time to catch up.
Right.
And clearly Kevin Spacey's not going to be back.
No.
And in case you didn't know, he is not returning due to other reasons.
Yes.
And so Claire is going to be the one taking over.
But how is that possible?
Well, it is in the series, and I don't want to spoil anything.
I haven't gotten up to the last
the fifth season kind of sees a switch of things.
Right. Okay.
And it's hard not to spoil it because obviously she's got to take control.
Yeah, somehow.
Somebody's got to be in charge. And so it's going to be focused on Claire for this one. And
I'm going to guess that she became vice president somehow. That's going to be my guess here.
Boy, it's such a complicated story. How did you find your way through that? Yeah. Yep. And they are bringing in Diane Lane and Greg Kinnear.
Oh, Diane Lane. Yeah.
Try to spruce it up a little bit. We'll see. I'll watch it. I'll still watch it. But I may begrudgingly watch it. Yeah. But I have to finish it.
Well, you might as well.
If you've watched 5 seasons of it, it's like you got to see where it ends.
Yeah. I quit after 3.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah, and that's probably about the right spot.
That's enough.
To be honest, that's about the right spot.
It's just too much TV out there.
Right. But that's where we're going to be getting. So we get to see that, and I'm assuming it'll be coming out soon. They don't ever really say specifically, but it's soon. We'll get that. Something else that is going into production for Netflix, and we know they have a huge budget to buy movies because they've been putting a lot of things into production, throwing a lot of money places, and they're greenlighting this, and the casting is already kind of going forth pretty quickly on this. So it's a movie that's going to be coming out in 2019 called Dolomite Is My Name, and it's about Rudy Ray Moore. So it's a true story based on a comedian and film producer named Rudy Ray Moore, and it's starring Eddie Murphy as Rudy Ray Moore. So they've got Eddie Murphy in a movie. That's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's been a while since he's had a big starring role.
He is sort of a larger-than-life, just sort of character of himself these days. So that should be interesting. Yeah,
it's Rudy Ray Moore, but on top of that, the casting is Mike Epps, Craig Robinson, and Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, you want to talk about somebody who hasn't had a job in a while.
Is back. Yeah, that makes me want to watch it. I'm excited to see Wesley Snipes in something. And I guess he's going to play this kind of an alcoholic producer or arrogant actor and producer. So, yeah, it should be pretty good. And it's about the actual founding of this comedian. He was a real kind of raunchy comedian, and some people say he was kind of the godfather of rap because he would kind of rhyme in some of his stuff.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and then created this movie, Dolomite, and it's about the producing of that. And Dolomite, which we were talking about Superfly at the top.
Right.
Dolomite is about a pimp with a harem of kung fu fighting prostitutes. That's what Dolomite is about.
Now, this is when you come back to Superfly and be like, yes, it's one of the better of these movies.
Yeah, right? So
okay.
That we'll get to see, looks like next year sometime in 2019. And the final thing that I wanted to bring up was this one, just another casting thing. And it has to do with The Shining. If you're a fan of The Shining, and maybe you weren't aware, there was a sequel from Stephen King to The Shining called Dr. Sleep.
Wait, so he wrote that book?
He wrote that book.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so he wrote it in 2013 called Dr. Sleep, and it's about Danny. Danny's not here right now. Right. Danny as a grown-up, 3 decades later, as he's trying to reconcile his past and the crazy things that happened.
Yeah, it's Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor is going to be Danny.
I think that's a compelling story.
I like it.
Danny has powers and stuff. Like, that's cool.
And Ewan McGregor is good, and Ewan McGregor's one of those guys like, yeah, he can do it.
And can you imagine, like, if they have the rights and everything, if they can flash back to the movie sometimes, like, that's still in his brain, like hiding out in the frozen labyrinth and such, like he's got issues, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
I think that could be a really good one. And it's the writer is Mike Flanagan. Yeah, Ewan McGregor is going to star, and they already have a release date for it. It's January 24th, 2020. So little ways out on that one.
Yeah. All of this,
it's all out far.
All of this banking that we're all going to be around by then.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, if we make it,
the recent events,
we'll get to see Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker.
That's right.
But you can go this weekend and see Incredibles 2. Back to our Pixar talk. And as far as your favorite Pixar movie, which I know you are a big advocate of the Pixar movies.
I will be going.
And I did like The Incredibles, so I will watch.
Yeah, it's hard not to. I think
it's a good movie.
If you just want to go there for the popcorn, choreographed, amazing action, that's all you need.
Yeah, it's The Incredibles.
This is one of those ones, though. I will preface: if you're not big on kids, especially in a movie theater, you might want to strategically figure out when you want to see this. We're talking about midnight showings. We're talking not about Sunday matinees.
Yeah. Maybe it's at a beer theater
just
in the
that
evening.
out there. Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right. Well, let's.
Kids are fun and all, but at the movies.
Yeah. I'll go late night. That's why you go get drinks before you go to the theater.
Yes,
all right.
Absolutely.
Send us an email, podcast@digitaltrends.com. Again, this is Between the Streams. So we're live every Friday at noon Pacific time to catch you up on everything that's going on in the world of movies and entertainment, everything we found out from the week, and give you things to look forward to for the next week. But we always love hearing about shows that you're watching. So send us that email, podcast@digitaltrends.com. Let us know if there's a series you're really excited about that you think we should talk about on the show, or you have some different opinions about something we brought up. We're fine with that. Those will all go to Ryan. And we really do.
Aquaman's going to be great.
Yeah. And so, we really appreciate everybody tuning in for that. And I think that's about it for this week.
Yeah, download the podcast.
Download the podcast. Subscribe wherever you get podcasts. It is one of the best ways you can make sure you get caught up. We try to get this thing up right away, so that way you can have it for your Friday afternoon commute. If you're listening to this whenever you're hearing this, subscribe to the podcast. iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get podcasts from. Hit that subscribe button. That would be awesome. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week with another episode.